Zack Snyder's Justice League was a film I never expected to exist. And now it's out. It's 4 hours, and I got to watch it for free, basically. Because I live in the UK, we don't have HBO Max here, so this film was on Sky, and it was for free. I hope they do the same thing with Godzilla vs. King Kong, because that's the film I actually want to watch. But I always said when the Snyder Cut was confirmed to come out, I would watch it if I got the chance to, but if I had to buy any other subscription service to watch it, I wouldn't. Thankfully, luckily, I didn't have to buy another subscription service to watch it, so I watched it, all 4 hours of it, and this was a film I didn't expect to exist, let alone like, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's a lot better than the 2 hour cut. I'm just gonna say it right now. See, if you're one of those people that's like the Whedon cut, that's 2 hours shorter than this one, has the team, and half of the team is characters we've never seen before that are shoved in and get barely any explanation at all. Yeah, that's obvious. Yeah, this one's going to be the better one. The 4 hour one, where they go in and they explain every character and they make you care about every character, especially Cyborg. I feel like Ray Fisher does Cyborg really well. I still prefer the Cyborg that's in Doom Patrol, because obviously I prefer the Cyborg in Doom Patrol. But the Cyborg in this is a different Cyborg, and he works well for this universe. And seeing Cyborg in this makes me really want a Cyborg movie. This movie is a lot better having Aquaman out already, and knowing about his world and his story and what makes him tick. So I feel like Zack Snyder knew that Aquaman was already going to come out, and if this was made before Aquaman, if this was everything and Whedon just took out all of the good bits, then and made Steppenwolf look like a pale comparison to what he is in this movie, then like obviously Snyder knew that Aquaman was going to come out, and he knew that the story would be told in that, so he didn't need to tell Aquaman's story in this. He didn't know, he was under the impression Flash isn't coming out for a while, and Cyborg has no movie that's been confirmed. So we need to make Cyborg badass, and we need to make people care about the Flash. So give the Flash as many cool scenes as possible, make him a badass, but also make him kind of the Michelangelo of the group. And then we'll have Cyborg be the coolest character in the fucking movie. I really liked how this made you care about every member of the Justice League, and it made them a team. At the end, the Justice League are a team. They're not kind of like, they're not just together for the sake of fighting some bloke. They're actually bantering together. They're actually working together as a team. They're using their powers. They're combining their powers. Like, you've got the scene where Flash runs in and charges Cyborg, and even the scene where Flash goes in to resurrect Superman. That scene is a lot better in this than in the Whedon cut. The biggest change is Steppenwolf, and well, the biggest change is the entire movie is basically a different movie. It's the same as the Whedon cut, but it's infinitely more expansive. It's another movie on top of it. Essentially, what Zack Snyder wanted to do was have two movies. But if this was two movies, the first half would just have no payoff. The first half would be like, where would the first one end? Would it end with the resurrection of Superman, or would it end with the fight in like the tower thing where the Nightcrawler is used? Where would the first one end? That's my question, which makes me think that there wasn't a movie until the fans demanded a movie, and then what Whedon had is he finished what was there. Because Zack Snyder had a vision. He got to film half of his vision, and then tragedy happened. His daughter committed suicide, which is heartbreaking. And apparently internal affairs were in and Zack Snyder was out. But if Zack Snyder was out, why would he come back for this? It's obvious that the reason why he left was to grieve. He couldn't make the movie that he wanted to because he was dealing with a family loss. And Warner Brothers didn't want him to make the movie because they wanted him to grieve. That's probably the reason. I don't think he was told to leave. I don't think that, I don't think that he left because Warner Brothers wanted him to leave because they didn't like him. I think he left on his own accord because he suffered a horrible tragedy that no parent wants to go through. But thankfully, thankfully, the Whedon cut came out, and a lot of people were disappointed. Well, that's not the thankful part. The thankful part would be Whedon created the movie that everyone wanted and pleased everyone, and continued on the vision of Zack Snyder. And he actually spoke to Zack Snyder and was like, "What movie do you want to create? And I'll create that movie." But it looked like he came in and was like, "I'm going to make this the Avengers." But the scenes that I've got aren't the Avengers. It's a different movie altogether. It's a different tone than he wanted to create. So I'll just get the actors in, film some jokes, we'll put those in, and we'll get rid of all of the cool shit. We'll get rid of all of the cool stuff, and we'll put in Batman lying on the floor saying something's definitely broken and being an absolute dad. Because why wouldn't... What in your mind makes you think that Batman would... or this version of Batman would joke in a situation like that when he's almost been killed by someone he just brought back to life? But that scene where Superman comes back in the Snyder Cut, amazing. They do take out the line in the Whedon Cut that I really liked, where Superman's like, "You wouldn't let me live, but you can't let me die." That line was amazing, but they took it out, or it wasn't meant to be in the film, and that's one of the lines that Whedon put in. But I liked that line, and I was kind of sad to see that line go. But there's so much more in the movie that is amazing and is great, and I loved that having one line go, that's not something I'm going to get hung up on. I'm going to go into spoiler territory now, so if you haven't seen the movie, watch it. It's actually good. and I'm not saying this because I'm a shill for Zack Snyder, I'm not. I like Man of Steel, and I can watch Batman v Superman. I didn't enjoy Wonder Woman. I think I enjoyed Wonder Woman the first time I watched it, and then the second time I watched it I was like, this is not good. And I think that's all of the movies that Zack Snyder had a part in, but I don't love his movies. I don't love the DC movies that he's made. I like Man of Steel, I can tolerate BVS, and I don't like Wonder Woman. But this is the best that I've seen Zack Snyder be, or this is as good as... It depends if you like Watchmen. If you liked Watchmen, then you're probably gonna like this. If you didn't like Watchmen, then you'll probably get a kick out of this because it's characters that you recognise, and, you know, you'll get a kick out of the fight scenes anyway. But if you're looking at this and you're like, 4 hours, that's a bit much to watch a director that I'm not a fan of his directing style, you know, to watch a universe that you're not that into, you know, is this movie gonna speak to you? Is what I'm trying to get behind. The movie spoke to me because I am a fan of DC Comics, even though you may not be able to see it. Or what you can't see is there's a Superman action figure and there's an Azrael action figure there. But I'm more of a Marvel fan, but I've been wanting to get into a DC movie, and the only movie from DC that I've gotten into is Shazam. I kind of enjoyed Birds of Prey, but there's bits in Birds of Prey that I'm like, I'm not really that into it. But those are the only two that I've really enjoyed from DC. Even Joker, even though this is the one that everyone's gonna rag on me about. I didn't get into the Joker movie because this isn't a video about the Joker, so I'm not going to talk about the Joker. But all I'm going to say is I didn't enjoy the Joker. I'd much rather watch any other Marvel movie. But this, I think, is the first one that stands on its own and is like, I get it. I get Zack Snyder's vision. I get what he wants to do. And I understand now why people are into this. I understand what people get from this. I may not get the same things because it's not what I necessarily want, but for what the vision is, it's done well, and I'm glad that Zack Snyder was able to get his movie, and I hope we get to see a Justice League 2, because we're getting an Aquaman 2. That's a given. The only thing with this is it looks like it's going to make Mera important from the epilogue. But Amber Heard is either out or still in. If she's still in, then she should be out. But if she's out, then who are they getting to play play Mera? Because I've heard rumours about Emilia Clarke, and if they do get Emilia Clarke, that's perfect. That is amazing. Good choice. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about the apocalypse scene yet, because the apocalypse scene is, in my opinion, one of the best scenes in the movie, if not one of the best scenes in the entire DC EU, or the DC Extended Universe, or whatever it's called. I loved that scene, but I'm not going to talk about it yet. Anyway, I'm just interested to see what happens to certain characters to get to that point. the thing that I will bring up is, I know I talked about it a bit earlier, but Steppenwolf in this movie, he gets a glow up. He gets the biggest glow up. More than Cyborg, more than any member of the Justice League, more than Superman even. And yes, they do fix the mustache thing, but Steppenwolf gets a massive, like, first of all, he is just huge. He's a physically terrifying force, you know, and I don't think you need him to be anything more than that. And the thing that this movie does really well is it gives him a character and an arc, and it kind of jokes around with the whole, yes, we know he's a bit of a shit villain, but he knows that he's shit, and the movie knows that he's shit, but we're going to do everything within our power to show off that even the worst of Darkseid's lackeys is still terrifying. And they do a thing that they do show off, that this is a guy that was cast out of Apocalypse. This is a guy that just wants to go home, and he's like, if I purge this planet, if I find all the mother boxes, if I get the anti-life equation for Darkseid, he'll let me go home. That's all he wants. But there's this overridden theme of him being just shit, or the fact that Apocalypse just sees him as like the weakest one, or like he's like betrayed Darkseid, but he just wants to get back in his good graces. And I can get behind that. I can get behind that way more than what it was in the Whedon cut, which I can't even remember what his motivations were in that. I think it was like he wanted to have sex with the boxes or something, or he just wanted all of the boxes, and he had like a weird like fetish for the boxes, which was, you know, he was barely a character in that movie. He was just a big CGI mess that, you know, didn't really do anything. At least in this, he looks threatening. And I think, as far as character design, he flexes and all the spikes come out. He does like the Groot thing where he flexes and like a load of spikes come out of him, and he then flexes again and all the arrows like just crumble. And then we do see glimpses of Big Daddy Darkseid, but we don't see a lot of him. And I think this movie does Darkseid really, really well, where he is like that Thanos character, where he's like, the presence of him there is always that. The presence is always there, and it's always felt, but he barely shows up. He doesn't show up until like the end. We see him in that scene, in like that flashback scene where you've got the Green Lantern. But that's about it. But I think they've done him really well. I love his design. I love that like the Omega is like almost embroiled into him, or well, not embroiled, but it's like carved into his chest, which I love. We also get probably the biggest shock and surprise for me was Martian Manhunter. We see him halfway through the movie when Clark's mum goes to visit Lois, and she does the speech of, you need to get back in the world, you need to start socializing and stuff, you need to go back to work. And then she leaves, and then her eyes go red, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Is she evil? Is she one of Darkseid's lackeys? And then no, it's freaking Martian Manhunter. And I had a moment. I had a moment when I saw Martian Manhunter. I was like, what the fuck is this? That is amazing. I want that. I love that he's in a movie. I don't care if he's not a big role. I don't even care if they don't make Justice League 2 and he doesn't appear in a movie again. I'm just glad that Martian Manhunter's in this. And he shows up in the epilogue to talk to Bruce Wayne and basically say, hey, look, next time you get your friends all together, give me a ring. I want to be there. So, yeah, that's awesome. And that, in and of itself, just to see Martian Manhunter do things would be a reason in and of itself to have a sequel. And, you know, I really want a sequel now. I can't believe this movie managed to make me care enough that I went from being one of those people that was like, oh, the Snyder Cut is never going to happen, it's not going to be a thing, you're like tugging on like, you've got false hopes, essentially. And then it got to the point where they're making the movie, and then the trailer came out, and I was like, I'm not that excited about this. I don't think this movie is going to be for me. But then the movie comes out, I watch it, and I'm like, this is for me. This is my kind of movie. I'm going to talk about the apocalypse scene because that is where the most questions come in, and the most amount of theories of what Zack Snyder's vision is. And it's clear to me that he played a lot of Injustice. That is the plan. It's just Injustice. Something happens to Lois Lane that results in her dying, and then Superman's crying over her dead body, and then Darkseid just puts his hand on his shoulder and is like, I'll be there for you. No, I won't. But, you know, I want Superman on my side. And then, you know, Batman and Mera, Flash, Cyborg, and Deathstroke are like the resistance force. And then we see Joker, like Jared Leto's Joker, and Jared Leto's Joker and Batman have a full-on like discussion about how each of them need each other. And then Batman's like, you know, I will kill you. I will fucking kill you. And it's confirmed basically that Joker did kill Jason Todd. That's in the universe now. And that discussion is what made me think, right, Jared Leto's actually a good Joker. He's actually a good Joker. Like, Suicide Squad did him dirty, but in this, it's like, yeah, he's good. He knows the Joker inside and out. And the laugh's a bit weird still. He still sounds like Jim Carrey, but the characterization and just getting him to talk to Batman, it's like reading a discussion between Batman and Superman in the comic, or between Batman and the Joker in the comics. It's so good. That scene itself sold me on Jared Leto's Joker more than anything in Suicide Squad did. So yeah, that's a win for this film. And that's kind of everything that I need to say. The Snyder Cut is everything that I think the fans wanted it to be, and more, because it's not only showing us what Zack Snyder's vision was, which is Darkseid is the big threat, and Injustice is my plan. We're getting an Injustice movie, and more character development for the characters that don't have their own movies, and just show that everyone is a badass and that everyone has a role to play, and yeah, just make a good movie. That was Zack Snyder's vision, and now he's got his vision, and hopefully Warner Brothers is like, it worked. We have our movie. We have a director that wants to make more movies. Let him make more movies. Let him finish what he started with Man of Steel, and just see where it goes. I don't care if Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 are bad films. I just want to see Zack Snyder succeed now. After being beaten, bashed, and, you know, thrown into the frying pan. The man just wants to execute his vision. The man just wants to make good films. Let him. Let him do what he wants to do with these characters that he obviously loves. So yeah, that's my opinion on the Snyder Cut of Justice League. A film that I didn't expect to exist, nor like, and both are what is happening. That makes no sense, but both are what happened. I both have watched the Snyder Cut and loved the Snyder Cut. It's a bit weird that they chose the aspect ratio that they did with the 2 bars on the side. You get used to it after 4 hours, and it's also a bit weird that every half an hour they go part 1, part 2, part 3, and they just fade to black, and then, you know, going into it. It just takes you out of the movie. I know that there was stipulation about, or not stipulation, but there was conversation about maybe having this be split into several episodes. It feels like that was kind of planned. That's why that happened. But maybe it's like to have intervals, because the movie's so long. They've got to have an interval every half an hour for people to go pee and make a snack and, you know, make a cup of tea, because British. But I don't think whoever edited this movie kind of, you know, made, you know, kind of thought, right, people watching this at home, they have pause buttons. I don't think they kind of took that into account, but you get used to that as well. The movie is long enough for you to get used to the weird things that the movie does. But anyways, that's everything I've got to say. It's only taken me half an hour to talk about this 4-hour long movie. And the movie is 4 hours. It's going to take me a long time to cover everything. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!